I would like to introduce our panelist speakers this morning. If you guys could just please stand for acknowledgement, and then we'll follow through with the agenda that was in your registration packet today. So we have Craig Dickerson. He is the NRCS State Conservationist here. And we also have Dean Edson. He is the Executive Director for the Nebraska Association of NRDs. And then we also have Jeremy Peters. He is the Chief Executive Officer for NACD. Along with that, we have Tom Christenson. He is the Associate Chief for Operations for NRCS. And then we have Rich Duesterhaus. He's the Director of Projects and Partnerships and the Executive Director of NCDEA. And Rich, okay. Okay, at this time I will turn the agenda program over to Craig. Thank you.
One of the other housekeeping issues that I did not give you is we have sign language interpreters here who are available, and we wanted to have their services here to begin this morning, and if someone would just let me or one of the others know if we need to have him here throughout the day, that would be helpful. Okay, so good morning. On behalf of Nebraska NRCS, I want to welcome you to Lincoln, and I also want to extend that warm welcome on behalf of NACD, NASCA, the Association of RC&D Councils, and the Employee Association. We are really happy to have you here in Lincoln today. One of the reasons that we are happy to be hosting this symposium is because we have an opportunity to show off a little bit. And Nebraska, we think, is a well-kept secret in terms of some of the conservation activities that we do, and we've had a lot of success here. So one of the things that I would like to take credit for is all of the good conservation work that you saw when you came in, but that's not the case. That's a result of all of the really good partnerships that we have here in Nebraska, and those relationships are what are key to the conservation success that we have had. And we could never do all of the conservation work that needs to be done. And it's a true partnership when we bring our strengths together and we do more by working together. And I would argue that Nebraska has one of the best conservation delivery systems in the country because our closest partner are the Nebraska Natural Resource Districts. And I think you'll have an opportunity to meet some of the managers that are on site today. And, you know, we all believe that local leadership by our districts in the conservation delivery system is what makes the work that we do so important. And I know you all believe that. And it's not only good for a state like Nebraska, but it's good for our country and the resources that we're trying to protect. So that's why this meeting is so important. It's all about the partnerships and the people that we're trying to serve, and it's about the future. And so we're gathered here today to learn how we can make our conservation partnership stronger, and that's so important, especially at the time that we find ourselves in now. And I think we will have some serious discussions about where we are today and where we want to be in the future. So I'm looking forward to us working together to identify those new opportunities, and I'm really happy to see you all here today, and we want to make sure that you have a great experience here in Nebraska. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Craig, and thank you to everybody that's attending here today. I'm Dean Edson. I'm the Executive Director for the Nebraska Association of Resources Districts. I want to give you a little history of where you're at today. You're actually on the old state fairgrounds. And I grew up on a farm and ranch, and I used to show cattle here at the state fair in a building just about 100 yards that way. They kept that old building and are renovating it. But there's a lot of history here with this old state fairgrounds and what the university's doing with the innovation campus and turning it into new uses for Nebraska agriculture. This year, Nebraska NRDs are celebrating their 45th anniversary. Nebraska took a leap back in 1969 and consolidated 154 political subdivisions and created natural resource districts that are based on river basin boundaries. And we have responsibility for not just soil erosion, but we also have a lot of responsibilities for flood control structures, water quality, and water quantity. But one of our main focuses is the soil erosion, soil health. And we wouldn't have the resources we have today if we didn't have good partnerships that we've got between NRCS, the NRDs, state of Nebraska, and the university. Our soils are in great shape, but that doesn't mean there isn't room for improvement and continue wanting to protect that resource. All of us that grew up on farms, we were instilled with values that our parents taught us that we're going to hand this farm down to you, you children, but it's going to be in better shape when you get it than what we got. And the next generation is going to do the same thing. And again, that goes back to partnerships and outreach, education, and programs that we can help producers protect that land. One of the other things that natural resource districts do here is flood control. We're responsible for putting in flood control structures. So one thing you'll notice, if you stayed downtown and came out here today, you'll notice that Antelope Valley, there's a wide creek that's opened up here, right just on the east side of campus. And that's a joint project between the natural resource districts, the Lower Platte South NRD here in Lincoln, the city of Lincoln, and the University of Nebraska to take homes that were in a floodplain, get them out, relocate them, open that area up so we could control the floods that ran through downtown Lincoln. Since we put this project in, we haven't had any flood damage in downtown Lincoln since this project got installed. So it's worked well. The last thing I want to mention is we also do a lot of programs on water quality and water quantity. The natural resource districts are responsible for managing our groundwater in Nebraska to protect it for quality. We have programs that we do in conjunction with NRCS, the Nebraska Department of Environmental Quality, the local NRDs, and the university to help protect groundwater quality. We have regulations. Each district has a groundwater management plan and has regulations set in place that if there is a problem with groundwater quality, there are a new set of regulations that could come into play. Producers are very aware of those and they want to avoid those regulations, so they do the best they can to protect water quality in this state. The other part of it is water quantity, that the NRDs are responsible for protecting the quantity of water. So we also have this similar groundwater management plan that we work with the Department of Natural Resources that puts into place some protection programs for protecting the amount of water that's available, or groundwater, and making sure that we do not have significant declines. When we do run into areas of decline, there are regulations that come into play that can go to allocations. And that's one thing producers don't want to have to do is deal with an allocation. So they're very judicious with the amount of water that they apply. Again, the programs that we have for the quality and quantity tie back to NRCS, FSA programs, state programs that we put together. Then the local NRDs have an option to feather and dovetail or create new programs with their own funding source to address those issues. So again, welcome to Lincoln, Nebraska, the Innovation Campus, and the old state fairgrounds. I hope you enjoy your stay here. You got a great program. And thanks again for coming.
morning, everybody. Good morning. Thanks to Craig and Dean for that welcome to Nebraska. And I'll have to say there is definitely a lot of great things going on just from what I saw in the drive from Omaha to Lincoln yesterday. Y'all are doing great work, so hats off to everything that the partnership is accomplishing in Nebraska. Also, thanks, Rhonda, for the introduction, and it's good to be with you last week in North Dakota for the NCDEA mid-year meeting, and good to see you again. My name is Jeremy Peters. I'm the Chief Executive Officer for the National Association of Conservation Districts, and it's my pleasure to be with you this morning to outline the purpose of our symposium today, and also talk about the plans for the day. Looking around the room, I think I know most everybody here, but just a little introduction for those that maybe I've not had the pleasure of meeting before. I've been with NACD now going back to 2006, and really have had the pleasure of serving in a number of roles with the association, and it's my pleasure to be serving as the current Chief Executive Officer for NACD. I also had ties to the land and grew up on a farm in southwestern Virginia, where my family still raises cattle. We also used to grow tobacco there back in the day, and for anyone that has worked in tobacco before, you know the labor intensity of that endeavor. And about the time that my brother and my cousin and I were growing up and going off to college, my dad and uncle suddenly decided they wanted to get out of the tobacco business. So we still have our farm, still raise cattle. And I'm very blessed to have had that upbringing and still have that part of my life and family on the farm. Today is certainly a time to celebrate both the past of our partnership as well as the future. And as we're thinking about the purpose of the Leadership Symposium, I wanted to just touch on a few key themes here as we're going through the agenda today. Certainly is a time to recognize the career and contributions of Dr. Hugh Hammond Bennett to the soil conservation movement, as we also consider the future of our partnership. We have many exciting things in store, both for today, but also into the future as we celebrate the vision, career, and contributions of Dr. Bennett. Certainly, we would not be here today gathered as a partnership were it not for Dr. Bennett's passion, his drive, his love for our country and the land that sustains us. That all led to the establishment of the Soil Conservation Service back in the 1930s, as well as the model legislation that went out to establish conservation districts across the country. That same passion, drive, and love of country of Dr. Bennett's has to be channeled today as we look to the future, as we are in many ways at a pivotal time of our conservation partnership and conservation movement. And we're very pleased to have members of Dr. Bennett's family with us today. Welcome to you both. And I know you'll be getting to Today is also about sharing success stories, sharing experiences, and being able to understand how conservation delivery works in each of our states. And we have several state teams that are represented on the agenda today to be able to talk about some of the success stories and be able to exchange ideas. For anyone that was in Colorado for NACD's annual meeting in Denver back in January, you heard from Governor Hickenlooper who spoke and admitted that the governors of all the states, one of the things that they love to do as a network of governors is to steal ideas from each other and take them back home and improve on them, make them their own, and then come back and present them and steal them again from each other. So I would encourage you to bring that mindset to today's symposium as well, and listen to the ideas that your colleagues are presenting, and don't be afraid to steal those ideas, and take them back to your states and make them your own, improve on them, and make them work for you, and make our partnership even better in your states. The purpose today also is to launch a new leadership development concept for the Conservation Partnership, including a virtual academy idea. and ongoing attention to leadership development for all 5 partner organizations. Certainly, leadership development is a focal point for NACD in our new strategic plan. And I know it's a topic that's on all of your minds as well as we strive to grow the next generation of conservation leaders. So that's a very exciting topic that we'll be discussing today. The purpose for today is also to renew our understanding of the importance of conservation technical assistance and how it is delivered through our unique federal, state, and local partnership that also leverages private sector resources to enhance landowner ability to manage their resources effectively. And several items that are particularly noteworthy related to that as we continue to focus on delivery of conservation technical assistance. First is the ongoing National Conservation Planning Partnership. And I know many folks in the room today have contributed in various forms to the NCPP. That group has been working under the leadership of Mike Brown and Astor Boozer, the co-chairs, for the past 2 years to guide our efforts in reinvigorating, expanding, and enhancing conservation planning. In fact, each of you received your registration materials, a guide produced by the NCPP, which I think you'll find beneficial. So I hope you are able to take that material and look through it and take it home with you. 2 is also the Conservation Planning Boot Camp and the ability to increase capacity at the local level through combined NRCS and Conservation District employee training. In fact, there is a group, as we're sitting here this morning, of NRCS and Conservation District employees right here in Lincoln that are expanding their knowledge and understanding of effective conservation planning. So it's exciting. We're very grateful for that opportunity for Conservation District employees to partake in that training alongside their NRCS counterparts. And I know for the district employees that have gone through that, they have come away finding that very enriching, as have the NRCS employees to have that combined experience. And then third is the Resource Stewardship Evaluation Tool, or RESET, that I know many of you have heard a lot about. As part of the planning process and how it can relate to future sustainability efforts, including things like fill-to-market and other private sector initiatives. Many of you may have already had experience with RESET, either helping to pilot the tool on your own operation, or you've learned about it in a similar partnership gathering. Certainly it will be part of the discussions today, but if you haven't yet had the opportunity to view the RESET tool, I encourage you to do so. It's really a remarkable decision support tool that really easily and effectively enhances the landowner's ability to have a sound conservation planning experience. So on behalf of the National Conservation Partnership and our leaders assembled here today, glad to see everyone here. Look forward to the day ahead. I wish you a good day of networking, discussing, and hearing about the many aspects of our combined partnership.